The first presentation, Autonomous Vehicles versus our Roadway and Population Demographic Challenges, is given by Dr. Richard Corey. Rick is the director and co-founder of the VEMI lab located at the University of Maine, an interdisciplinary domain focusing on human-technology interaction and inclusivity that is dedicated to advancing collaborative undergraduate education and cutting-edge research processes. Founded in 2008, VEMI has been awarded more than $12 million in prizes and awards under Rick's leadership, including a top 3 finish in the US DOT's Inclusive Design Challenge in 2022. The lab has been featured in more than 280 media and academic publications and has accumulated over 150 student-led publications from the time of its foundation. Rick strives to assist students become creative problem solvers, strategic thinkers, and leaders in their fields. He has twice been named UMaine Supervisor of the Year, a student-nominated and chosen award representing excellent mentoring and student impact. Since its inception, VEMI has graduated over 120 students and created 2 startup businesses. Rick holds a PhD in collaborative practices and an MFA in intermedia. His research focuses on the new collaborative paradigm between humans and technology. He also works as an associate graduate faculty member in the School of Computing and Information Science, educating students on interdisciplinary interactions and collaboration. I hope that did justice to your.
Remind me to make sure I know.
Anyway, we welcome you, Rick, and eager to hear what you have to say.
Hi, I'm Rick Corey. I'm the director of the VEMI lab. Now that we understand the technology, here we go. A lot of people are going to say, hey, what is the VEMI lab? What does it do? Essentially, we study the way the humans interface with technology. We do that through human-centered autonomous transportation. We do it through multisensory information access, navigation and wayfinding. And we also do a lot of research education, which is one of my top priorities because, after all, we're a university, we should probably be educating the students. For the purposes of this talk, we're going to focus on these 2 areas, which I think are relevant to probably everyone in the room. I'm going to talk about our accessible research, and you're going to find out why the work we have done in the last 15 years in accessible research really starts to apply to how we're starting to look into autonomous vehicles moving forward. We've done a lot of work into tactile information and mobile information. Some of those overlap, but for those who come for the tour this afternoon, you're going to find out that we also like to get past mobile and start to play into some new interesting worlds. We also do a lot of work with spatial language, looking at the way in which we explain something, whether you understand navigation from clock faces or cardinal directions. And we do a lot of work and have for 15 years with Dr. Nicholas Giudici looking at wayfinding, how we get from A to B. Now, for the purposes of what we're talking about here, we're going to be talking about fully autonomous vehicles. And when I say fully autonomous, this is for those, I'm just catching up for those who don't know, this is the chart for the levels of autonomy moving forward. We are comfortably, as you get towards level 5 is full access. And what that means is the autonomous vehicle does not need any help from us whatsoever. It can go through any conditions, and it doesn't need to be able to phone home or have anyone inside the vehicle to be able to control it in any way. So we are comfortably right now here at level 3. There are level 4 vehicles being tested in places like San Francisco, Phoenix. Actually, I just heard the other day, Atlanta is starting to test a few of them too, moving forward. But just so we're all playing on the same field, I'm not talking about today's current cars. We're focusing on level 5 vehicles as our primary. And I say this because I really want people to start to think about what does this mean to not have any control over the vehicle you're in. This is the first time in human history that we can tell that we are giving full control over basically our lives to a robot or an AI, or call it whatever you want. And what does that mean in the long term? So now that I've set the stage, let me get into this. Here's some of the challenges that we started to identify, getting down to looking at what this is going to, cause moving forward. Accessibility issues, that's pretty obvious. Ride share versus ownership. We just had another meeting yesterday with because of NDA, another very large automotive industry who verified again that they have no plans for personal vehicles. So ride sharing looks like it will be the mode moving forward. We're looking at vehicle communication. That's a big problem. This is both vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to human. We're looking at pedestrian traffic. How is that going to be able to, how are we going to handle that? Especially if we have concerns inside the vehicle. What are we going to say? Road variability, that one's easy. Drive around the state of Maine. We have some interesting roads here and there. And weather. A lot of these vehicles right now are being tested in sunny California. And anyone who's not from sunny California will get that joke. Accessibility issues we're looking into how are people, very specifically, we do a lot of work with blind and visually impaired, but we're looking into how are people going to be able to control the vehicle. And what I mean is not control as in manually control, but if you need something, how is that going to happen? Navigation, how is that translated? How are we going to get our blind and visually impaired people in and out of the vehicle? We're going to start looking into geographic vernacular, which anybody who's traveled around the country knows there's soda and then there's pop. And for some reason in Seattle, there was fizzy drink. And I don't understand what that is, but that's okay. Gestures, a lot of people gesture as they talk or they need something. And, again, ride sharing, which is, well, we've all been in Uber and Lyft. There are a few problems here and there. Just to paint the picture of where we're at, we're looking at a huge population of people that are currently not driving that we now have to pay attention to. There's about 25 million people out there who have some sort of disability, makes them limited to be able to, drive or move about in the manual way in which we know today. We've got about 600,000 older adults who are giving up their license every year. We have, I think it's 26 million. I keep getting this number back and forth, but it's 26 million people under 18. And if you don't think that the car companies are targeting children, they are. It is part of the discussions. And DUIs, over 500,000 a year. These are, we can't ignore the drunken, drugged up people. They're going to be in these cars. And these are, serious concerns moving forward. And, anyone who's had a few, sometimes communication gets a little tricky. So how is that going to work inside of a vehicle? One of the areas that we started to focus on is this combination of human vehicle collaboration. And a lot of people usually say to me, how can you possibly collaborate with a vehicle? Well, if you think about it today, when you get into a car and someone else is driving, those people that are driving, you have a level of communication that's going. There's also a level of trust in there. You know this person, they've driven a lot, you're comfortable. You get into a car with somebody you've never, driven with before. Couple of my 19-year-old students don't get in the car. That's all I'm just going to say about that. But we're looking at the way in which this happens. The car is going to need things as well. It's going to need to pull over, refuel, recharge. And we are going to need things like bathroom breaks or, medical issues and stuff. But how does that communication happen? Well, the more we dig into this, the more we're realizing that we're at the forefront of thinking of this. And it's very, very important as we started to dive into this. So in 2018, we started this idea about what does human vehicle collaboration look like. In 2019, we got one of the first autonomous vehicle transportation looking at trust with autonomous vehicles. In 2021, something happened in 2020. Let's just skip over that. But in 2021, we started to look at haptic interfaces and with Toyota, and we've got some great publications out of there. We became the winners, as mentioned earlier, of the US DOT, one of the 3 winners that came out of the US DOT Inclusive Design Challenge. And I'm particularly proud of this because we beat Google's Waymo, and we beat the University of Michigan. And no offense to anybody here from Michigan, but I was happy to beat that one. And now we're starting to work with a lot of automotive industry partners and starting to look at HVC, because what we're finding out is it is as important to them as it is to us. And this is the app. This is what we call the AVA app, the Autonomous Vehicle Assistant app that we created that was part of the winning team here for the USDOT. This is an app that makes getting to and from an autonomous vehicle for a blind or visually impaired person easy, and they get information that you couldn't get today. Anyone here? I know everyone here is probably using an Uber app. You can see where the Uber is and where it's coming. That is not accessible to a blind person. And also, if you have an Uber driver and you're blind and you're trying to find where the car is, the Uber driver can, if you call him, scream out the window or honk the horn. There is no way to do that with a fully autonomous vehicle yet. Give us another couple of years. We'll have that in fully autonomous vehicles when they move forward. But this app is fully accessible and has, you have your full portfolio in there. So it knows what your needs are and what your preferences are. Is this going to play? Oh, you guys got it? Just play it. This is part of the app that is actually being shown here. This is actually Dr. Nicholas Giudici testing it out for us. Ian, you will see that it not only detects hazards in the road, it detects cones. It will start to detect, big holes in the road. This is very early infancy of this. It starts to detect the handles, how to get to it. This is a big problem with a lot of people who go quickly find it. But if you're blind, it's a bigger problem finding it. No one likes to grope around it. It's not very dignified. We also have the ability to do some quick text reading on the app. So if there's something written on the side of the car, today when you order a Lyft or an Uber, you will see that it will say it's this type of car and this, and there's no way to identify, and we're trying to have that as an ability to identify through there. And we have tested this with a lot of users, and we now know it's actually functioning and working the way it should be. There we go. This also has led to, and anyone who's coming over the lab will get to see this. Go ahead, you can hit that. This is we have just built the first of its kind, and this is a full custom build. This is a fully autonomous vehicle simulator that we now have up and running in our lab. We can now test people how they're going to be in any situation. We can start to look at multiple people. Multiple people have needs. These are the first vehicles you're going to see on the roads today, and you're already starting to see them in airports and other locations. And the coolest thing about this is it is full motion, and we have also gotten from Esri, gave us the city builder software. So theoretically here, within the next 6 months or a year, we can download any city, drop people into it, and have them drive around in it. Right now, we're just trying to make sure the simulator is, feels right. So I will take feedback if anyone tries it today, that, tell me if you don't feel it feels right, because we're trying to get it as close to feeling correct as possible. The autonomous vehicle industry, and a lot of people say to us, why is this important? Well, it's currently projected to be a $2.1 trillion industry by 2030. And I wanted some of that money, so we decided to go for it. Industry needs more humans to study this. We need more human-focused work in this area. And we need more students that become job ready and getting used to this so it gets out the door and easier and better than some other launches have been out there. Because as I said to you when we started this is a huge deal. This is the first time we are just hopping into vehicles and saying, take me where I need to go, but there is no stop. There's no brake pedal. Some future focuses, and there's a lot of talk right now that we've been hearing over the last few years of road maintenance and what that's actually going to mean, both from a vehicle standpoint, because vehicles are starting to look at this combination of platooning and what they're now calling off platooning, which means that every vehicle doesn't ride in the same groove, so it's slightly off for, you know, those working on roads that will make wear a little even, I guess. I don't know one way or another. That's not my field. We're looking into community needs. A lot of people are asking, are we going to need stop signs anymore? Are we going to need streetlights anymore? That's all going to come down to government policies. That, you know, where that's going to come, I'm not going to touch that. We're just making sure you're safe in the car wherever the policies goes. That's Jonathan. We'll leave Jonathan up to that one. But the other thing is that people need to understand this is not a 50-year project. We will see this in the next 10 years. Whether it is full adoption, I don't know. And by full adoption, I mean no more manual cars. I don't know. But you are definitely going to see this fully happen in the next 10 years. And with that, do I prep up Jonathan just like that? There we go.